Good night, everybody, and welcome once again to another Line Vibe Live podcast. I'm your host, Yori Araman-Kemp, here from the beautiful islands of Nassau, the Bahamas. I thank you for joining me for another Line Vibe Live podcast. If you have not done so, please like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch page, Line Vibe 77. That's LIMEVIBE, the number 77, at Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Okay? Before we get into anything, I want to apologize for the last 2 weeks. We've been having some technical difficulties there, mainly my incompetence with the media I've gotten. All right, I sat here 2 Fridays in a row and recorded shows. The first show 2 weeks ago didn't have any audio in it, so I had to delete that. So I came back the following Friday, which was last week Friday, did another show. Come to find out we weren't even streaming on YouTube. So I got it all fixed now. I tested everything. The audio is up, the streaming's up, so we're off and running to the races, my dear. So thank you for joining me for another Line Vibe Live podcast. We're not going to rehash what we spoke about last week because it's old news. Maybe one item we may bring back, that's the Trump shooting. We want to play you the video of what the analysis looks like of the Trump shooting. So, that's what we talk about. But anything else, we're just going to leave it alone because we feel that would be a divine sign from our Lord and Savior that we should not be talking about it anyway. So we won't even go into that. But for now, let's go into the rest of the show for the night. So the first thing I want to talk about is this UNCTAD, this United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, their World Investment Report for 2024. It was out for about 3 weeks, but we just now got wind of it. This week, yesterday. And so we wrote a story about it on Caribbean Magazine Plus. Okay, by the way, before I get into that report, the Caribbean Magazine Plus will be having, and Arawak Media will be having its Tropic Spin Music and Song Competition tomorrow at 7 p.m. on our social media platform on Caribbean Magazine Plus. So it's Carib Mag Plus on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So you just search Carib Mag Plus on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and you can watch our Tropic Spin Music and Song Competition. It's a song competition for all the artists from the Caribbean and Central American region. And so we're allowing viewers to vote in on their favorite song. So hopefully we'll get a winner. The prize is $500. It's good promotion for us. We feel that it's good to get our names out there and help the culture. And so we believe that it's worth helping young artists out there in the region, the Caribbean and Central American region, because we're not sure who the next Rihanna or the next Coffee is going to be, who the next Bob Marley is going to be. We're not sure. So we want you guys to watch us on Tropic Spin Music Competition. That's going to be on Carib Mag Plus on Facebook and YouTube. So please join us for that show. So back to our show tonight. Like I was saying, this UNCTAD report, this World Investment 2024 report, said that foreign direct investment in Latin America and the Caribbean was stable at $193 billion in 2023, almost $200 billion in 2023. That's foreign direct investment. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, but they said it was stable, and it could be a lot more. But, you know, it's been tapering off a bit over the last several years or so. We had a good rocket roll before 2019, before the COVID-19 hit, but now it's trailing back off again. American companies have been slacking off from the region for the past decade or so, and they haven't been investing the way they should. And so that's where the Chinese come in. But the Chinese may drop $1 billion there, $1 billion there, $1 billion here or there, and that would be that. But foreign direct investment in the region be dropping off, and it could be $500 billion if we, you know, do more things to help shore up our economies in terms of making sure investments are stable, they're protected, making sure that we're not having despotic regimes in the region, making sure that people's investments are going to be safe. No one's going to pump $1 billion into your economy and they're not sure if their investment's going to actually pan out. There are a lot of investments around the region that people just aren't sure about. Why would you invest in Venezuela? Why would Exxon or Citgo invest in Venezuela right now? With the elections looming right now, Maduro may be on the way out. We may talk about that later on in the day tonight too. And, you know, he's proven to be a despotic leader. Why would you invest in Venezuela? Why would you do it? And so that's just one item, you know. So, yes, they say stable $193 billion. That's for the entire Latin America and the Caribbean region. That's just not Central America and the Caribbean, or the Caribbean alone. That's Latin America and the Caribbean. That means Brazil. That means Bolivia. That means Trinidad. That means the Bahamas. That means Honduras. That means Guatemala. That's all of us. All of us in the Latin American, the Central American, Caribbean, and South American region. That's $193 billion. That's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money for all of us. But that's where it is. So, sorry to start the show with bad news. But it's understandable, though. On to other news. Hurricane Beryl and the Grenadian officials, they said they have extended the fee increase deadline for applicants for the Citizenship by Investment program. So that means Grenada, alongside Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, St. Kitts, and St. Lucia, is part of a sub-regional organization of Eastern Caribbean states that signed a memorandum of understanding establishing a minimum investment. And the threshold was $200,000 effective on July 1st. Grenada's revised pricing structure, published in an extraordinary government gazette on June 26, sets a threshold for a single applicant under the National Transformation Fund at $235,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars. No, US dollars. $235,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars. No, US dollars. Sorry. I said it again. For those investing in an approved project, the cost is US $270,000 for a single applicant or a family of four. So they're keeping that threshold. They're not going to $200,000 anymore. They're going to keep that threshold of $235,000 and $270,000 US to help deal with Hurricane Beryl. But that's not just it. Grenada has also, last year, they reduced the input from the Citizenship by Investment Fund. They reduced it from 40% to 10%. And so you have the Decon Mitchell administration reducing the input. So out of every $100,000 that's invested from the Citizenship by Investment Fund, instead of getting $40,000, which it was before Decon Mitchell changed it to 10%, is now $10,000. And so this is the same contingency fund, this Citizenship by Investment contingency fund that they were tapping into to help defray some of the Beryl costs. They help put people back on their feet from Hurricane Beryl, from being devastated from Hurricane Beryl. So now you're crippling the country even more so by not having any money in the fund. And so you up the threshold. So now you're upping the threshold, right? And so you're bringing a disincentive for people who want to buy Citizenship by Investment, who wants to get a separate passport. So you're upping the threshold and you're decreasing the actual input to the Citizenship by Investment contingency fund. That's silly economics if you ask me. So you're cutting down the amount of people who could apply, and you're also lowering the amount that you're going to get from the Citizenship by Investment. That's backwards economics, man. I hope they revise that. Because you could have a hurricane next year again. You have a hurricane again this year. Think, man. Anyway, you know Decon Mitchell is a young prime minister. He's younger than me, I think. And so we just have to hope that he gets some some good advisors around him to help him deal with these matters and help steer him through these. I think that the fund should be 40%, but they said that the IMF said that Grenada is best with the 10% because it's now smoothing out their revenues, their government revenues. Oh my goodness. Listening to the IMF is always going to get you in trouble, man. They want you to borrow more money from them. They don't want you to have a saving. They don't want you to have a nest egg. They want you to always have to come back and borrow money from them. That's the thing. You have to show up your own people. And that 40% was the best. At least bring it back up to 25%. At least 25%. Anyway, we hope Deacon Mitchell gets some good advisors around him and helps him to shepherd his way through this thing. But as it's looking now, he's setting his country up for disaster within the next 2 or 3 years if a Category 5 hurricane happens to hit Grenada. On to Central America now. Panama, the Panamanian government has begun to take concrete steps to deal with this migrant crisis through the Darien Gap. And it involves deportation of some of those persons who have made it all the way from, Venezuela, snaking their way up to Guatemala, up to Mexico through the Darien Gap. And it's also including putting a barbed wire fence at the border of the Darien Gap so people don't go through there. So they're deporting people from the Darien Gap back to their home countries, their countries of origin, and they're also putting up a barbed wire fence. I'm not sure if the barbed wire fence is going to help a lot. Maybe you need to build a wall. Yeah, I know they're scared of walls, right? Maybe build a wall at the Darien Gap. But you may not have the resources to build a wall. So a barbed wire fence, fine. But deportation is not a bad thing either. That's going to cost a lot for the Panamanian government. We wish them all the best, though. Because it can't be business as usual. They said about 500,000 people have crossed over the Darien Gap this year alone. Already. Heading into the United States. That's the estimate. Okay? And it could be millions by the time they actually stem all this flow of migrants coming from El Salvador, from Guatemala, from Venezuela, and from Haiti, from all the other countries around the world who are taking advantage of the Darien Gap and how they can actually slide through the Darien Gap, all up through Panama, up through Mexico, and up through the southern United States, Texas and California. So yeah, we just have to pray for these people. Hopefully these people aren't hurt, man. And hopefully they find a solution. The people in Panama find a solution to this. We think they could. The barbed wire fence, like I said, may not be a good idea. Deportations could help. But hopefully they find something economically to deal with these situations with these migrants, man. And the Venezuelan election is on Sunday, July 28th. Hopefully Venezuela gets a new government and they set some economic policies in place that stems the flow of migrants from that country. Because there's over 3 million Venezuelans living outside of Venezuela right now from 2017, 2018. Just leaving the Nicolas Maduro regime for economic reasons. Another Central American story. Apparently there was a 6.2 magnitude earthquake that hit Guatemala near the El Salvador border on last Saturday, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The quake was felt in Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. The Civil Protection Authorities of Central American countries reported no casualties or damages to infrastructure, but there was an earthquake nonetheless. That was the second earthquake in the past 3 months because there was a 6.4 magnitude earthquake that hit in May this year as well. No one was hurt or injured in that either. So we have to deal with earthquakes now on top of hurricanes and on top of the floods that's happening in Central America right now, the drought. So, it's just Mother Nature, The earth is screaming out that you're putting too much into her and you're hurting her too much. Maybe we should back off from this. Earthquakes aren't really climate change, but, the earth is screaming out that you're hurting her, man. The earth is screaming out that you're hurting her. Let's talk about the story everyone's been talking about for the past, 2 weeks now. Former President of the United States, Donald Trump, was shot. It was an assassination attempt on his life 2 Saturdays ago when he was at a rally in Pennsylvania. And I'm going to show you a video right now of how the shooter took his position and the analysis from some of the people. Let's go to this video right now, and we're going to talk about it right now. So let's go here.
It's the 13th of July in Butler, Pennsylvania. Former U.S. President Donald Trump speaks at a rally. It's only days until he plans to accept the official Republican nomination. He's just minutes into his speech when shots are fired.
Take a look at what happened.
Trump got hit, but survived. Someone tried to assassinate him in broad daylight. Here is how it unfolded. By the time this video is published, new details might have emerged. It's a hot, sweltering early evening as tens of thousands gather here to see Trump. Pennsylvania is one of 6 vital swing states that will help secure the win in the next presidential election. Butler skews heavily Republican, and it is a blue-collar town.
This is a big crowd. This is a big, beautiful crowd.
He is surrounded by supporters. Most are sitting or standing in front of the stage. Some sit on the bleachers, center, left, and right. Trump's support staff and security, including Secret Service agents, are right at the stage. Behind him are 3 large buildings. On the roof of the building on the far left and on the far right are Secret Service snipers. They are constantly scanning the surroundings, looking for threats. They can be seen in this video filmed by a crowd member.
Hello, Butler, and hello to Pennsylvania. I'm thrilled to be back.
Trump begins with his speech. Things seem normal. He turns to the right and points at a chart showing statistics on border crossings. At the same time, several people in the crowd notice a man with a gun on the roof of a building close by. It's too late. All of a sudden, bullets start flying. One even gets captured on camera. Another building, about 400 feet or 120 meters north of the stage. The shots are coming from here, on the roof. The gunman is 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. He is armed with an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. The gun was legally purchased by his father. First, he apparently fires a round of 3 shots.
Take a look at what happened.
Trump reaches up with his hand. The first bullet pierces the upper part of his right ear. He will later say that turning over to the right at that exact moment prevented the bullet from hitting him right in the head. He ducks down behind the podium, and within 3 to 4 seconds after the first shot, Secret Service agents swarm the former president and shield him with their bodies. Crooks opens fire again, immediately, with 5 more shots. Right before the first shot by Crooks, one of the snipers on the left roof behind Trump seems to detect the gunman and prepares to return fire.
Take a look at what happened.
Some outlets report that these snipers killed Crooks, while the Secret Service confirmed its personnel neutralized the shooter. We could not corroborate that it was in fact these specific agents. The gunman also hit spectators on the bleachers. 1 man died, 50-year-old Corey Comprador. 2 others were critically injured. With Trump's microphone still on, we can hear the tense exchanges among the agents.
Move his there! Hold! When you're ready! On you! Ready? Move! Up! Move! Go!
About 42 seconds after Crooks opened fire, they confirm the shooter is down.
Are we good? Shooter's down! Are we good to move? Let's move!
They prepare to escort him to an armored vehicle.
Come on! Let me get my shoes. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head, buddy.
So we gotta move to the front.
Wow, President Trump is so in shock, he's asking for his shoes. So let me get my shoes. What? How intense is that, man? Let's go back.
What's up? Wait.
In about 75 seconds after ducking to the ground, Trump raises his fist. He is mouthing the words, "Fight, fight, fight."
Iconic image here with him raising his fists. You know?
The resulting photos immediately travel around the entire world. The crowd starts to chant for the former president
Make America Great Again, USA. Trump is an icon, man.
as he leaves the stage, bleeding. Trump is then rushed to a hospital. Later that night, he is flown to New Jersey. He appears to be well. There are a lot of questions we don't have an answer to right now. Why were the forces unable to prevent the attack? Analysis on X suggests that at least the snipers on the roof behind Trump were likely scouting for dangers further away, with this rooftop possibly falling into the responsibility of other law enforcement agents. We were unable to corroborate that. Why could an armed man climb up on this building? What was Crooks' motive? The gunman had no criminal history in Pennsylvania's public court records. The New York Times found a voter registration record for Crooks. It shows that he was registered as a Republican. They also found that he donated $15 to a liberal voter turnout group through a Democratic donation platform in 2021. He was a kitchen worker and had a membership at a local shooting club. The FBI found suspicious devices in both his car and home. They are being evaluated by the agency at the time of this recording. The investigation is ongoing, and new information is being published by the minute. President Biden and various leaders around the world condemned the attack and political violence at large. The picture of Trump, bloodied but defiant, with a raised fist in front of the American flag, will surely become a powerful symbol in his re-election campaign.
Wow, you can't beat that, man. Power up fist. They had memes floating all over the place with Trump supporters putting the scene with Trump with his fist up in the air to the music of 50 Cent's Many Men. Many men. But a lot of things has happened since Trump was shot. The Secret Service director, Kimberly Cheatle, she went to a congressional committee hearing, and she was grilled by congressional leaders, and now she's now the former director of the Civil Service, Secret Service, because they were wondering how was this such a collapse on her watch? What was happening? Why was the colonel, this Darren Crooks guy, able to get up to that slope of that roof and shoot the president when she was alerted, when her team was alerted to the shooter on top of the roof? Why was there such a breakdown in this security of former President Donald Trump? And now he's surging through the polls right now. And it caused, current President Joe Biden to resign from office. After that, embarrassing, debate that they had, but it seems as if, President Joe Biden was suffering from dementia. It was looking very, very bad, very, very terrible. He resigned from office. And, we have to say that's good because we felt it was elder abuse in any way, We felt that he was being abused because it's clear that he was suffering from dementia. I've seen people with dementia. It's clear he's suffering from dementia. Okay? And we didn't like that. And so he ended up resigning. And now Kamala Harris is now his vice president, is now the presumptive presidential candidate for the 2024 election going up against Donald Trump. And, by all intents and purposes, she's going to get steamrolled. Black American women are going to have their nigger wake up moment. But we like her pluckiness. We like the fact that she's going to stand up out there, but no one's going to beat Trump at this time. He survived an assassination attempt, and plus he was likable before that, going up against the deep state. We're going to see what happens right now, but Kimberly Cheatle, the director of the Secret Service, she resigned early on this week, and now her deputy director takes up the helm as the director of the Secret Service. And so there's investigations going on with her, involvement, whether there's any involvement with her. And some more things are coming out about this Darren Crooks guy, the actual shooter. He was shot on the spot. They're saying that he had some money wired to him from somewhere else. So we're trying to see exactly what's going on now. But like I said, President Joe Biden resigned from office. We're going to play that video as well. So let's take a look at that video with President Joe Biden resigning. Let's play it right now.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think is more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. And we can never forget that. And I never have. I've made it clear that I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division. We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy? In this moment, we can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do that? Does character in public life still matter? I believe I know the answer to these questions because I know you, the American people. And I know this. We are a great nation because we are good people. When you elected me to this office, I promised to always level with you, to tell you the truth. And the truth, the sacred cause of this country is larger than any one of us. And those of us who cherish that cause cherish it so much. A cause of American democracy itself must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there was a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. But there's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now.
Some people are saying he's being forced out. They're even speculating that the letter that he sent out accompanying this speech was a forged signature. But you could hear for yourself. You could hear he's clearly not as sharp and as vibrant as we would expect from someone who's holding the highest post in the world, the highest job in the world, I would say. The most important job in the world, I would say. And you could hear he's disheveled. You could hear he's trying to put his thoughts together. And you could hear he's just not him. But, you know, that job ages you anyway. And so he was already old when he came in, so it aged him even more. Poor Mr. Biden.
Over the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president. That means I'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy. I'll keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose. I'll keep calling out hate and extremism. Make it clear there is no place in America for political violence or any violence ever, period. I'm going to keep speaking out to protect our kids from gun violence, our planet from climate crisis that is the existential threat. And I will keep fighting for my cancer moonshot so we can end cancer as we know it, because we can do it. And I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform because this is critical to our democracy, Supreme Court reform. You know, I will keep working to ensure America remains strong and secure and the leader of the free world. I'm the first president in this century to report to the American people that the United States is not at war anywhere in the world. We'll keep rallying a coalition of proud nations to stop Putin from taking over Ukraine and doing more damage. We'll keep NATO stronger, and I'll make it more powerful and more united than any time in all of our history. I'll keep doing the same for our allies in the Pacific. You know, when I came to office, the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States. That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war. We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world. You know, We've come so far since my inauguration. On that day, I told you, as I stood in we stood in a winter of peril and a winter of possibilities. Peril and possibilities. We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in a century. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. But we came together as Americans, and we got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record. Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We're literally rebuilding our entire nation, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities. Manufacturing has come back to America. We're leading the world again in chips and science and innovation. We finally beat Big Pharma after all these years to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors. And I'm going to keep fighting to make sure we lower the cost for everyone, not just seniors. More people have health care today in America than ever before. And I signed one of the most significant laws helping millions of veterans and their families who were exposed to toxic materials. You know, most significant climate law ever in the history of the world. The first major gun safety law in 30 years. And today, the violent crime rate is at a 50-year low. We're also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. I've kept my commitment to appoint the first black woman to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I also kept my commitment to having an administration that looks like America and be a president for all Americans. That's what I've done. I ran for president 4 years ago because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. An idea stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It's the most powerful idea in the history of the world. That idea is that we hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We've never fully lived up to it, to this sacred idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I do not believe the American people will walk away from it now. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I've made my views known. I'd like to thank our great Vice President Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention going on, whether the founders had given America a monarchy or a republic, Franklin's response was, a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. Whether we keep our republic is now in your hands. My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter, from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. We just have to keep faith, keep the faith, and remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
You know something? I just want to bid, President Joe Biden farewell. He wasn't an all-out terrible president. He wasn't god-awful like Warren G. Harding or President Nixon. But he clearly could not hold on to the end. He could not go another term. And it's apparent by that speech right there itself, he could not go another term. He is 20 years, maybe 30 years too late to the presidency. He would have been a good president in the late 80s, early 90s, but now he can't do it. He's finished. He's washed. He's squeezed out. And the job itself right now is too demanding. Every president that has won election after the first 4 years, they're looking raggedy. Even, Barack Obama, who was young and sprightly and black. They say black don't crack, right? Even he looked raggedy and tired when he left Oval Office back in 2000. And was it with 12? When was it? When did Barack Obama serve to? Let's see. I forgot what it was. Anyway, when he left office after the second term, he looked raggedy. Okay? And so, in saying that, man, it's a tough job. So we wish, President Biden well. We wish his family well. And his son is still in a bit of trouble with the U.S. Government in terms of his conviction. And so we just, wish that family all the best. It was just too much. It was too much, man. Just couldn't do it. And, they said he's supporting Kamala Harris as vice president, as the presidential candidate. Let's see how much stroke President Joe Biden has. Whether or not it means anything, his endorsement of Kamala Harris. I'm not sure that it does. I think, probably Barack Obama has more sway in the Democratic Party than Joe Biden's right now. He's the president. So we'll see what happens. But there it is, man. That's our show for tonight. So let's recap what we talked about earlier on, right? First of all, we talked about this UNCTAD, this United Nations Conference on Trade and Development World Investment Report for 2024 that said that foreign direct investment for Latin America and the Caribbean was at a stable $193 billion. That's all of the Latin American and Caribbean region. That's from Argentina up to Mexico, across to Bermuda, and down to Trinidad and Guyana again. So that's it, $193 billion for that entire region. That's not a drop in the bucket. That doesn't help anybody, man. That's small money. Anyway, we also talk about Hurricane Beryl and how the Grenadian government has now extended the fee increase deadline for applicants to the Citizenship by Investment program. So instead of going down to $200,000 per investment as of July 1st, they're holding out and they're putting it up now $235,000 and $270,000 US for a single applicant. For a single applicant of four, or a single applicant of four, of a family up to four. So we also talk about how the Decon Mitchell administration also, they decreased the contingency fund input from the Citizenship by Investment from 40% to 10% on the urgency and the support of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. And they're saying that, it's helping the Grenadian government to smooth out revenues by decreasing the Citizenship by Investment input from 40% to 10%, which I think is a mistake. He's increasing the threshold for persons to apply for Citizenship by Investment. He's also decreasing the input. So that's not good economics to me. Actually, you would want more people to apply, and you'd want the input that you get from it to be more. It makes a better bang for the buck if you're going to put money aside for your Grenadian people. And because you're dipping into the fund right now for Hurricane Beryl anyway. So anyway, we spoke about that. We also spoke about Panama's government dealing with the Darien Gap and how they're putting up a barbed wire fence across the Darien Gap. And also they're increasing deportations from Panama, from all the other migrants that are in Panama, from the Haitians to the El Salvadorians to the Chinese. Apparently the Chinese are using Darien Gap as well, trying to get into the United States through Panama to Mexico to California and Texas. They're using that pass right there. So Panama started deportations as well as they put up the barbed wire. We think the barbed wire fence is a bad idea. We don't think it's going to work. Anyway, they're putting up a barbed wire fence there. And also we spoke about the 6.2 magnitude earthquake that hit Guatemala on last Saturday. And the quake could be felt from El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. And this is the second such earthquake in the past 3 months because there was another earthquake in May. 6.4 magnitude earthquake in Guatemala. No one was hurt in either quakes. But, the earthquakes are increasing more frequently now in the region. Like we said, the earth's screaming out. We also showed you the video of the analysis of how Trump was almost assassinated, almost shot at his own rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. And how the information is coming out now that the Secret Service Director, Kimberly Cheadle, has resigned after she was humiliated on the congressional floor by Congress people who are asking how could this be such a tremendous failure at the assassination attempt of a former president who was running for re-election, who was running to be re-elected again. Sorry, this is a consecutive election. He's running to be re-elected again. How could he be shot in the open like that? That was a massive failure of the Secret Service in the United States. Massive failure. And so she was grilled in the floor. Kimberly Cheadle was grilled in the floor, and she resigned forthwith. And now the deputy director of the Secret Service is now sitting at the helm of the Secret Service. And so, and Trump had his iconic fist-up picture. And so that's gone viral. That's going to help him with his re-election. And we also spoke about how President Joe Biden resigned from his office after, Donald Trump was shot. And apparently Kamala Harris is the presumptive candidate. His vice president is the presumptive candidate in his place to run for re-election. To run as candidate against Donald Trump. She's going to get eaten up. Like we said earlier, she's going to have a nigger wake-up call. She's no Barack Obama. Even though she has Caribbean roots, and we respect that. We love Kamala, but she's no Barack Obama. Let's get that straight off the bat. She's almost like a clown. They're making a caricature of her. They're making her out to be a joke. And it's we don't think she's going to run up into a serious juggernaut of the Donald Trump machine, and he's going to mash her down. It's going to be a tremendous trouncing with the American people. The black American women are going to get a nigger wake-up call right now in November. Anyway, we thank you for joining us for another Line Vibe Live podcast. This is your host, Yari Yarman Kemp, here from the beautiful island of Nassau, Bahamas. And so, also, I want to remind you again, please tune in to our Carib Mag Plus, that Caribbean Magazine Plus social media pages. That's social media on YouTube and Facebook, Carib Mag Plus. We're going to be hosting the 3rd annual Tropic Spin Music and Song Competition Award. Music and Song Competition. And so we want you to join in for that and vote for your favorite artists for that night. So thank you for joining me again for another Line Vibe Live podcast. This is Yari Kemp again. Like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch page, Line Vibe 77. That's Line Vibe 77 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And thank you for joining me again for another Line Vibe Live podcast. So we hope to see you again next week. We sort out all of our technical issues. I'll be back again next Friday. So we'll see you then.
Bye.